Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the DFS experience for Sunday, November 6th. We only got a three-game slate. We're going to breeze through this. If you thought that because it was only a three-game slate, you wasn't going to get a video, you're out of your mind. We're going to jump in. We're going to start with DraftKings. We're starting with point guard. Jaw's 10-1. Jaw is probably the highest projected player on the slate, if I'm not mistaken. I did look through it a little bit. Siakam, no. All right, so Ja is the highest projected. Now, what's been happening with Ja is he hasn't been giving us those superior fantasy uh, performances, but his team has been playing better as a whole, specifically Bane. You know what I'm saying? So we're not looking at Ja to give us 60 fantasy points because we're probably not going to get it. Last time he hit 60 was on the 24th of October. Last four games, he's been giving us 30 and 40 fantasy points. That's fine on on the basketball court. That's fine that the team is a little bit more balanced. But John Morant at 10-1 giving us 40 fantasy points does absolutely nothing for us. So although John Morant will always be a play, I'm not interested in him at this moment. Beal is an okay play. He hasn't been spectacular this year neither. He's been getting a little bit more help from, Porzingis and Kuzma, Monte Morris, bringing a little bit of stability in the backcourt. But how does that help us with the fantasy points? That's the question of the day. All right. So on the 28th, he gives 53. This 29 and the 36 and the 39 and the 35, that does absolutely useless to us. And we ain't got no time to be playing around with these useless fantasy performances. Van Fleet, he's still out. We want him to be out, and we'll talk about that in a second. Why we want him to be out. What am I looking at? I'm looking at his update. His back. All right, he got a broke back. Okay, so let's continue. Van Vliet is broke back mountain. Let's keep going. Scotty Barnes. Now, if there's no Van Vliet, you fire Scotty Barnes up. Scotty Barnes goes from a little bit better, like a good play. He goes from like a good play. I want to say like above average. He goes from an above average play to a good play because he still has to pay off 7K, 7,100. Clarkson is an okay play. He's scoring dependent. Conley is useless. He's not going to give you the six times value that you need. You're looking for 36 fantasy points. You're not going to get that from Michael Conley. So until his price goes down, we'll just bypass him. He's hit 36 once all year, and that was against the Lakers. Um, I don't need Mike Conley even on a three-game slate. I don't need. You know what? Michael Conley is an average play because it's a three-game slate. Reggie Jackson we know is dog shit. Nothing to talk about. Ayo DeSumno is hit or miss. His team is stacked with fantasy producers, and you never know which one of them is gonna go off fantasy wise. It's like whack a mole. When you think it's one, the other one pops up. When you think you got Vooch down, you think Vooch's gonna have a great game. Levine has a great game. When you think Levine's gonna have a great game, DeRozan's gonna have a great game. So I'm good on all that. Tyus Jones irrelevant. Morant's healthy. Monte Morris is in play. John Wall. If you're playing a lot of lineups, you want to take a shot on John Wall, have at it. Caruso's just blah. Trey Man is a bozo. Dragic is in play because there's no Kobe White, and they still refuse to price him up. Goran Dragic will be played. He will be played tonight. Um, okay, here he had a little bit of a fumble, but last few games come off the bench, 24 fantasy points in 20 minutes, 25 fantasy points in 15 minutes, and then in this last game against Boston's a tough matchup, so keep that in mind. He didn't hit his shots. If he would have hit his shots, he would have had more fantasy points. So Dragic is still in play on a short slate at $3,400. Don't think there's anybody else down here we need to look at. Let's go to shooting guard. Paul George, 9,500. He's too pricey. He's not. He's not Tim. He's not that guy anymore. 9,500. He may not be healthy. I don't know. I don't care. All I care about is, he had one 75-point game, which was great. But you know, from what we can see from his past games, the probability of him paying off $9,500 it's pretty slim. That's the whole point. It is a 3 game slate. Yes, we do need, raw points do matter. Paul George could give us 50 fantasy points, which would not exactly, if okay, if Paul George gave us 50 fantasy points, it would be like 5.2 value, like 5 times value, 5.2 times value, something like that off the top of my head. That's okay on a 5 game slate, but Paul George could even give you 30 fantasy points. He's done it here. Look, 20. Wait, where are we? Hold on. 23. That was his fantasy points. Look, 28, 21, 23. What are you gonna do with that? If he does that again, even a 34, you lose. If you pay $9,500 for Paul George and he gives you 35, 34 fantasy points, or 21 or 23 fantasy points, even this 41 right here, you lose. You need at least 50 fantasy points on any slate. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about rostering Paul George. I'd rather play Bill. He's a little bit cheap. I'm not too fond of Bill either, but he's a little bit cheaper. That means he has a little bit more room for error. If Bradley Beal gives you 40 fantasy points, 35 fantasy points, you still have a chance to cash. If Paul George gives you 35 fantasy points, early night, early night. Bane is now grouped together with the Bills at $7,800. He's averaging a higher fantasy point than Bradley Beal this season. Um, 57, 47, 45, 47, 29 last 5 games. That is at the expense of John Morant, but you know now you have another fantasy producing guy, but he's $7,800. Uh, Bain, Van Fleet, you spoke about Levine. You're hoping Levine doesn't play so that you could touch on maybe DeRozan, Vooch, DeSumno, Dragic at an extent, because $3,400 would go a long way. Gary Trent, if there's no Van Vliet, Gary Trent's in play. Brooks is in play. He's an okay play. Sexton's in play. Um, if you said, "Hey Chapo, you skipped over Norman Powell," well, Norman Powell's a bozo. These Clipper guys never hit value. I don't know if they even want to be out there. I don't know what's going on with the Clippers. These are the same guys that um wanted to go home when they were in the bubble that didn't want to play. Like these guys are losers. They're failures. They don't try. I don't even give a shit if you're a Clippers fan. Sometimes I say things and you know, I I don't really be wanting to offend people, but these Clippers are jokes. They're fucking jokes. They shouldn't even have a basketball team. They don't try. They put no effort. Like I don't care. That's it. That's how I feel about them. I like Zubac though. Zubac is cool. Zubac comes to work. Zubac Zubac comes to work every single game. He doesn't cry. He doesn't complain. He shows up. He plays. The rest of these guys, like if you're hurt, you're hurt. These guys be hurt. They come back, then they take off, and they don't even say anything. Like this is craziness. This is like the last 3-4 years, and they get praised by the media. Like I don't get it. They don't even show up to work. Where's Kawhi? Anybody know? Somebody call Kawhi. Tell him to call us. Like what is Kawhi doing? Injury management. You're missing every single game. Come on. Paul George doesn't seem right because Paul George used to be consistent and reliable. He's not this season. And then you want to talk about Reggie Jackson and Norman Powell and all these other. What happened to Terrence Mann? I thought he was like the future. He's the future of nothing. He's a bozo. Y'all got me started on the Clippers. Now it's not my fault. Sexton's in play. Barton's in play. Short slate. Conchar, no. Um, let's go on. Let's move on. Y'all got me fired up with the Clippers now. See what y'all done? All right, so you know the story. If there's no Levine, you play DeRozan. Kawhi Leonard, he's not playing. He's missing like look. Let's read this together, since we're already on this topic. Leonard knee has been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Jazz. Like, come on, what are we doing? My man hasn't played in like 4 years. Remember when they tried to make him the best player in the NBA? Yeah, the media, I tell you. Let's go on. Marketing looks good. He's in play. OG, if there's no Van Vliet, you fire up OG. He looks great, 6,200. Uh, Patrick Williams price still hasn't come up. That he's been playing well for Chicago. You can fire him up at $3,900. THT has been a disaster on Utah. The rest of the team has been a lot better. The starting lineup is better. Sexton is coming into shape. THT looks like a giant trash bag. Maybe THT should go play for the Clippers. He'll fit right in. Kuzma's in play 6,900. Marcus Morris. You know what? When Marcus Morris does come to work, when he does show up, he does play. When he does show up, so he's like I'm on the fence with him when he does show up. Kelly Olynyk is okay, 57. I like Vanderbilt. I like Olynyk. Boucher. We'll get back to Boucher in a second. Brandon Clark hasn't been doing anything this season, fantasy wise. Maybe real life basketball, he's good for Memphis, but fantasy wise, he's been awful for us. And Adams actually is healthy and playing better, so they don't really need him as much. Steven Adams, that is. I think we move on to center. There's nothing really down here for us. And we got Siakam. Now Siakam has a groin injury, probably not going to play. Let's just see if it has any extra information. Doubtful. Okay, yeah, nobody hurts a groin and plays the next game unless you got like balls of steel or some shit. But I've hurt my groin and I was curled up in my bed like a little bitch. I ain't even gonna lie. I thought I was gonna die. Listen, groin injuries is nothing to play with. You can't walk. You can't do nothing. Um. So yeah, Siakam's probably gonna be out. You fire up Trent. You fire up Barnes. You fire up OG. And if you're feeling cute, you can fire up Boucher. Vooch. Vooch is in play. No Levine. His rates go up. Porzingis is all right. Zubac, my man. I play him on any slate anytime. He's in play. Boucher is 4,400. He's gonna look good. Achua is gonna look good. Don't play both. I play one or the other. Coco Melon. He's not gonna be in play for me. Kessler 3,400 is in play. Gafford if you want to be cute. I think that's about it for center. Let's get five guys. Let's get out of here. I'm gonna make picks with the notion that Siakam is out. I'm just going straight to Barnes and OG first. I might do Barnes at point guard because these guys don't really nobody at point guard really tickles my fancy. You know what I'm saying? Ja, for what he's producing right now, he's a little bit overpriced, but you might need the raw point. So I definitely have a lineup or two with Ja, but he's not a necessity to me at the moment. So we got Barnes. We're picking up. Okay, maybe we could do Barnes, Trent at 61, and then we could do OG at 62. These guys are all mid tier. They're gonna soak up all the usage for Toronto. And you know how Nick Nurse likes to how he likes to coach. Um, I think you could go four Raptors, but I'm not gonna push it. Let's go marketing and at center. I do like Zubac. I like Steven Adams. Steven Adams has been a rebounding machine. I like Kelly Olynyk at center. Um, if it's not a blowout, Steven Adams is gonna play. At least high 20s in minutes, but his production is um has been decent. So we have last 5 games. His minutes are all over the place, but some of them have been blowouts. So we got 24 minutes, 31 fantasy points, 19 minutes, 18 fantasy points, 19 minutes, 16 fantasy points, 34 minutes, 40 fantasy points, and 22 minutes, 51 fantasy points. What my advice would be to you is that if you think it's going to be a close game, you play Steven Adams. If you think it's going to be a blowout, don't play him. I don't think Washington hands with Memphis, so I'll probably stay away from Adams. But if I was playing like 5, 6, 7, 8 lineups, I'll throw him in one. Let's do Kelly Olynyk is always in play, but let's just do Zubac So we have the money, and we know Zubac is reliable. He's been the most reliable clipper all year long. 34 minutes, 40 fantasy points, 23 minutes, 16 fantasy points, 32 minutes, 41 fantasy points, 25 minutes, 18 fantasy points. I think that game he was in foul trouble. And 36 minutes, 48 fantasy points. Yeah, that game he was in foul trouble, if I'm not mistaken, where he had 18 fantasy points. But nonetheless, he's reliable. 6,500, short slate. Fire up Zubac. Um, and then we'll go to FanDuel. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Very important. Hit the bell. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Very, very, very important. Y'all guys have been doing it. Been helping the channel. I really appreciate it. Please keep doing it. I'm begging. Please. Thank you. And my message to your newer people, because there's a lot of new guys out here, new guys and girls. Um, if you're having trouble cashing, if this season has been a little bit weird and you're having a hard time finding your stroke in your lineups, you can absolutely have my updated optimal lineups sent to you right before lock, or I could build you your own lineups. DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, and SuperDraft, and I can send them to you right before lock. You can check out my Patreon, linked in the description. And if you have any questions, you could DM me on Twitter, and my Twitter will be in the thumbnail as always. That's my message. Now, FanDuel, real quick. Uh, I got Ja at point 9900. Him being 9900, a little bit cheaper than on DraftKings. I said I wasn't too enthused about Ja Morant, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to play him. I will be playing him. I got OG a little bit overpriced on FanDuel, but it's a short slate, and his blocks and steals upside is very high. Scotty Barnes, if there's no Van Fleet. Remember, these Toronto guys, they're good plays, but if there's no Van Fleet, they're better plays, and if there's no Siakam, they're the best plays on the slate. If there's no Siakam and Van Vliet, you play OG, you play Barnes, you play Gary Trent, you play Boucher. Okay? But you guys know that. Most of you guys know that. I got OG, I got Barnes, I got marketing, because marketing is a touch overpriced, but it's a short slate, and he's been consistent. Now, if a player has a bad game and missed shots, then he just missed shots. At least he's taking them. If a player is playing minutes and he's taking shots and he's giving you a little bit of rebounds and assists and blocking steals, that's all you can ask for. And Zubac in a close game, he's going to play 30 plus minutes. He's going to give you a billion rebounds. He's going to give you a billion block shots. He's going to score when he can. Zubac is Mr. Reliable for me on the Clippers. And if you're a Clippers fan, you know, don't be mad at me. I'm just a messenger. We've all been thinking it. I just said it out loud. Clippers are ridiculous. But listen, I'm done with all that. And I'm done with this video. 3-game slate in the books. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys had a great weekend. And I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.